Hello to all. I am Rajshri Saple from HR department, welcoming you all to the session of Pprosh. The full form of Pprosh is Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal of Cases of Sexual Harassment of Women at the Workplace. Our policy is based on the Sexual Harassment of Women at the Workplace Act, which became a law in 2013. The objective of this session is to generate awareness about the policy and the Act among all employees. In this session, we are going to cover message from MD, sexual harassment as per the Act, example of sexual harassment, intent and scope of the policy, internal committee which is called IC, grievance redressal procedure, and finally penalties the IC may recommend. Let's look at message from MD. Every staff member of ATE has a fundamental right to work with dignity. Sexual harassment of any kind is unacceptable behavior that the company will not tolerate. Anuj Bhagwati, Managing Director, ATE Enterprises Private Limited. What is sexual harassment as per the Act? Sexual harassment of women at workplace Act 2013 refers to an unwelcome conduct of sexual nature at the workplace or outside the workplace that affects a women's staff members adversely. Let's look at example of sexual harassment. Unwanted physical contact and advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, which is also called quid pro quo, which means a favor or advantage granted in return for something. Making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature, using email or the internet for the purpose of making abusive, offensive remarks related to pornography or inflammatory literature. For better understanding, let's watch a video of sexual harassment at workplace.
कूल डाउन, डोंट गेट एंग्री। सिर्फ एक रात की तो बात है, सब ठीक हो जाएगा और फिर तुम्हारी प्रमोशन भी।
कार्यस्थल पर यौन उत्पीड़न कानूनन अपराध है, चुप्पी तोड़िए।
Let's look at the intent and scope of the policy. To provide a safe, healthy, and fair workplace environment without harassment, discrimination, or victimization. To prevent cases of sexual harassment at the workplace, but if they do occur, to provide redressal and resolution of cases of sexual harassment at workplace. Scope: applicable to all complaints of sexual harassment concerning ATE if sexual harassment is suspected to have taken place within or outside the premises of the company, by an employee against another employee, by an outsider against staff member, by a staff member against a third party. Let's look at what the internal committee is. As per the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013, the company has instituted Internal Committee IC to handle all complaints pertaining to sexual harassment. An IC is established for each and every business unit and regional office of ATE Group. The company strives to create a zero tolerance policy, which means even a single incidence or occurrence could result in severe disciplinary action. This kind of notice is displayed in all the offices and units. If any woman wants to complain or discuss anything about sexual harassment, they can contact IC members. Let's look at the grievance redressal procedure. Case is to be reported within 3 months from the event by the victim, informally or formally. If informal complaint is there, conciliation is provided by the IC members. Conciliation means mediating between two disputing people or group. The respondent admits his misconduct, punishment is given, the case will be closed. Here, the respondent means a person defending against a complaint. The respondent fails to admit his misconduct, an inquiry will commence formally. Copy of the complaint is submitted to the respondent within 7 days. The respondent can reply to the complaint in writing within 10 days. IC will initiate an inquiry as per the Act and complete it within 90 days. IC needs to submit a report to the employer and make recommendations within 10 days of completion of inquiry. Employer to implement recommendation within 60 days of receipt of report. The respondent fulfills his misconduct as agreed upon, the case is closed. If the complaint is false, the IC may recommend to the managing director to take action against the person who has made the false complaint. If the victim is not satisfied by the recommendations or non-implementations, the victim can appeal to a tribunal or court within 90 days of report of the IC's recommendation. And here the grievance redressal procedure will end. Let's look at the penalties IC may recommend. The IC may recommend any or a combination of the penalties if a respondent is found guilty for sexual harassment or unwelcome sexual conduct. Warning, reprimand or censure. Written apology by the respondent which shall be displayed prominently on all notice boards. Suspension, withholding increments and promotions, demotion, termination. Let's conclude this session with this very important note. If it's unwanted, it's harassment. Touching, rude comments, leering, speak up. If you see something, say something. Complain to IC immediately if you are a victim of harassment. Your safety comes first. I hope this session helped you to understand what is Sexual Harassment Act. After this session, I request you to attend a small quiz. Thank you for attending this session.